It is Monday, June 10th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at Factor. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Kris Rose, producer Dan, intern Tommy along for the ride as well. We are so happy that you have joined us. Quick reminder, we got our Factor question of the week coming up later this week. We'll tell you more details on that as the week unravels. But man, oh man, do we have a ton to get to, including early Monday morning. One of the first things I see when I open my eyes is the reveal of the Minnesota Twins City Connects. Have they given you one yet?
I have not received one yet. I'm going to the ballpark today, and I think I will. But I was privileged to just kind of see them last week and the whole thing and all of the stuff they're going to be doing surrounding the jerseys. First take on them, I thought they were representative of, kind of Minnesota, the lakes. I figured they were going to go that route. I think they look a lot better if you see the whole thing together. So I will say hold off to pass judgment because they have some other tricks up their sleeves, if you will.
I think because they represent the land of 10,000 lakes, they should be dripping wet while playing in them.
Okay. They might today. It looks nice and hot out here in Minneapolis.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe if you want to grab a few for your extra, for your friends at John Boy Media, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's all up to you.
You see the hat I got on?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You were in Pittsburgh this week. Did Brawl say hi?
I talked to Steve Brawl. I said, thank you so much for filling in for me. He was a great guy. We talked a bunch. It was good. It was nice to see him. He's very handsome, man.
I mean, it is, like I said, when one guy leaves another, that's what we produce are a bunch of models, one right after the other. And then you've got the old dad bod guy that's the consistent pillar on this show. All right, let's get to it. Tip of the cap. I know you don't love college baseball, but at this time of year, it's so fun. The super regionals are played on the campus of one of the two teams. We had Clemson and Florida going at it. Florida won the first of the 3-game set. So Clemson needed to win on Sunday to push it to a third and decisive game. And this kid, Cam Canarella, had the most amazing full inning. He hit a 3-run homer to tie it up. They were about to be eliminated at home in front of their home fans. He ties it up. He forces extras, and then this happens.
Because of an injury, he's in the lineup, and he has been a game changer. This one's out to center field. It is deep. It is gone. Oh, my goodness. That
oh, my goodness,
just
right.
Happen.
So even though Clemson was playing at home, they were the road team in this case because they alternate the first 2 games. So if he misplays this, if it falls out of his glove, if it bounces off, their season's over. That kept it going. Florida eventually came back and won it later on in the 12th or 13th inning. But still, that kid had an amazing, 10-minute stretch.
No, it is amazing. And he actually did misplay. That thing hit off the heel of his glove. But at that point, that means, so I don't watch college baseball, but I do know that, it means so much to these kids, not just because personal statistics, but it's this is a team. These are brothers. So he was going to do anything to keep that ball within his grasp, and he just cradled that thing in there. He even hit the fence and bounced off it. I mean, I will say this. The T levels, the testosterone on that field during that game was high, and the excitement was good. I maybe, I don't love college baseball, but games like that, those are amazing.
Yeah, just pick it up at the super regionals. I have to be honest with you because now you're getting into some really good teams next year because I think 7 of the 8 series only went 2 out of the 3 games. So we didn't get a full, I think Georgia and NC State are the only one that went the distance to decide who's off to Omaha. I will say 2 things before we go. First of all, coaches, stop abusing your pitchers. There was one kid, Neely, for Florida, who threw 50-plus pitches in game 1, and then yesterday threw 70 more high-stress pitches. Let's be careful.
I've actually talked about this before, and I've read articles about this. And a lot of times it's actually the pitchers are hey man, if they're not going to get drafted or something, this is it for me. Whatever I can do, let me do it. So I don't know his draft status or anything like that, but right. I think fair. That is an important part of the equation there.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. The other part, if y'all think we complain a lot about the umpiring at the major league level, go watch a college game. That thing was nuts. They ejected a kid for no reason, seemingly. They ejected the manager and one of the...
Yeah, why did that kid get ejected?
I still don't know. They said maybe he put his hands on an umpire. I didn't see it. I saw it as the other way around. But this is a major league show, so let's get to it. Dodgers, Yankees. LA took 2 out of 3 in the boogie down. A bunch of things to get through, so we're going to go through these rather quickly. Teoscar Hernandez, a monster series, 3 homers. Once Max Muncy comes back, is that top 6 in the lineup good enough to carry LA to the promised land without making a big-time trade?
I think it is. Like if those guys go off and play to the back of their baseball cards, then yeah. But I think we're seeing more and more around the league. The top teams are a little bit longer in the lineup, and if you have 7, 8, 9 not getting it done for you, and you basically have a free inning, that's when you can run into trouble. But if those guys are going off, it can be enough. I don't expect them to rest on their laurels. I think they will go make a move though.
Well, but so first of all, those top 6 guys all have an OPS over. I'm saying when Muncy returns, whenever that is, we'll have an OPS over 850, except for Muncy, who's right around 800 for the year. That is, you can do as much damage with those 6 as anybody in the league. And then the next 3 on a given night, you're talking about Hayward, Pages, and a combination of Miguel Rojas, who's been very good this year at the plate, and Gavin Lux, who hasn't been great. But at some point, as a number 9 hitter, you'll take him, you would think. So I'm just saying it's not like they're invisible down there.
No, and really those guys at that part of the order, their job is just to get on base when the lineup turns over. If they're on base, however they get there, if it's OBP, if it's whatever they have to do, it's just get on base.
I'm more interested in seeing what their rotation is going to look like than 7 through 9.
I feel like that's always that way with the Dodgers. They're always they have guys, and then there's some injuries, and it's they've always pieced together a rotation. It hasn't been here's our 5.
No. Well, it can't be, in part because of the injury bug that keeps creeping up on him. All right, Aaron Judge. I mean, he just continues to do it. His last 5 weeks are certifiably insane. Even though he is on the Yankees, the most popular team in this sport, is he underappreciated?
No. What? No. No, not at all. I don't think so. I mean, maybe it's just because I was just in New York and I saw the adoration that crowd has for him and the respect that he has for the crowd itself. I don't know. I don't think he's underrated whatsoever. I think we're realizing, and it's actually, I guess it's taken me quite some time to really get there. We're seeing an all-time great here. And I don't it's hard for me to put that on somebody, but that's what he is.
Yeah, and we had the discussion a few weeks ago if he is the best non-steroid reported guy, because there's some people who did test positive that we can say, and then there are other where there were rumors flying around them constantly. Is he the best non-steroid hitter of the last 30 or 40 years? And there's some other guys that we have in there. We talked about Ken Griffey Jr. I don't even think we brought up Frank Thomas, but we definitely should. But he is getting in that territory. When he is on a streak like this, I don't know how you pitch to him.
You can't. There's no holes in his swing. If you're going a lot of times, you look at all-time greats baseball reference page. You'll go hey, what's your 5, 6, 7 year peak? And when we look back, if he continues, I mean, even if he doesn't continue what he's doing, since 2017, what he's done at the plate is pretty incredible. I think he's kind of just hitting his stride now. I think he's in the middle of his peak, and it's been incredible. By the way, Frank Thomas, no PEDs during the playing time. I think he's pushing some testosterone pills now, though.
But that's okay. Anything to make a buck once you're done. The thing was, Frank Thomas was one of those guys, and you obviously weren't around when he came up. When he came up, the guy just filled up a batter's box.
He's huge, dude.
Have you met him before?
I have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And he would stand in a batter's box. The only other guy I could remember being that physically imposing was Dave Winfield. So you're talking about very few. We're talking Frank Thomas, Dave Winfield, and Aaron Judge. I mean, that's pretty much it. When you see Stanton and Judge stand next to each other, it's incredible because Stanton looks like a little kid, and Judge is just such a beast. Let's continue on with the Dodgers. They've just been so-so, it feels like, over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Over 500, but they just haven't hit a stride. I think their longest winning streak over that span is something like 4 games. Do you think this series in New York will jumpstart them to bigger things?
It can. Going into New York, especially right now, the atmosphere there is daunting. Jake says it's probably the best he's seen the atmosphere since he's moved to New York, which was right before COVID. So it can go. I mean, and Shohei, I think since like May 20th is hitting almost like under 100 or something like that. Like he's performing very poorly right now. But to go in and take a series from them the way the Yankees are playing, without Shohei doing it, I think that says a lot about the team. And I honestly don't think that that team doesn't come to the field and say we're the lesser team. Like they always show up feeling like they're the best team in baseball. So can it propel them? Sure, but I don't think they even needed it.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to go out in here and say that it will definitely propel them and they're going to go on a 700% winning streak over the next 4 weeks. It could, but I just don't feel that way. I talked to Tyler Glass now about it, and his latest episode just dropped today. So go. He's great as always. Go give a listen. And he's just like, we know we're good. We know we'll be there. And it almost felt like they're pacing themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they're just not getting pushed in that division at all. And so they'll either finish first or second in the National League, and they'll have some time off, and we'll figure out who their rotation is come October, and you'll know who their lineup is as long as all those guys are healthy, and they'll give it a shot, and then we'll have whatever narrative we have there. That's it. I thought the most interesting thing of the weekend series happened on Sunday Night Baseball. Trent Grisham, of course, he got booed on Saturday night, couldn't lay down the bunt in extra innings. He was hitting fifth yesterday because of the injury to Soto. So for the first time, it felt like all year he was getting a few days where he had consistent at-bats. Well, then this happened.
The crowd chanting, "We want Soto." I think he knows it too. Grisham. That ball is ripped to right, and it is way out of here. Trent Grisham, 3-run home run.
Okay, unfortunately, that came against our buddy Glass now. The scene was very interesting. We want Soto chance. He said it afterward he heard him. What'd you think of the whole thing?
I thought it was amazing, and what a feeling that has to be. And, I don't even think, like, typically I would feel bad for a guy if they're saying we want somebody else. But when it's Juan Soto they're chanting for, like, you kind of understand, like, all right, bro, like, we get it. Like, he's one of those guys, that we just spoke about Judge. So I don't think he really took it to heart. But to be able to do that as they're chanting is incredible. I believe the next at bat they started chanting, "We want Grissom."
Yeah.
Or they chanted his name. And so that's really cool. I actually saw that happen in Pittsburgh as well. Our guy Rowdy Tellez is getting booed all year long because he came and stood up for David Bednar.
Yep.
And then he had a go-ahead homer, and they chanted his name. And after the game, they were going nuts. So it was kind of funny to see that happen at two different series. But for Grisham, I mean, he's having a poor season offensively. That had to feel like the weight of the world getting lifted off his shoulders.
He had 5 total hits before that swing yesterday. The entire season. And I mean, he's been around this game long enough. He knows when he's not playing well. He gets it. He understands it. Now, the other side of that is, well, hey, in Philadelphia recently, when they have players that are struggling, more stars than role players or bit players like Trent Grisham is, hey, let's organize standing ovation for Trey Turner. Maybe it'll get him going. This was the opposite way. So what's the difference? Like, why shouldn't the Yankees fans have followed Philadelphia's lead?
That's not who they are. I think that the Yankees fans are doing just fine. Just mention how great the atmosphere has been, and Soto's they want Soto to play. I think that's fine. I get it. And I think is he like going to be back? Like, an inflammation is all we heard. So yeah, they're going to get what they asked for.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard. It's a really hard place to play. So you better pack your extra thick skin. Yeah. You just have to. And I don't care what fans say. I did like this. Did you hear Aaron Judge after the game?
I did.
Hey, he came to Grisham's defense. He said, listen, I didn't care for it. I didn't care for, like, I understand you like Soto, but I didn't care for it. Like, he's supposed to do that. As the captain of the Yankees, you're supposed to take care of everybody else in that dugout, not just the stars, and not always appease the fans. He's doing the right thing. Fans can do whatever they want. They can, you pay good money if you want to chant for somebody else to be in the lineup or pinch hit in that situation. I get it. But Aaron Judge, I thought, handled it great.
Sure. He handles everything great.
For the most part, yeah, really does. All right, let's move on. Mets and Phillies, they split the 2-game series over in London. Did you have a favorite part of the weekend?
I did, and you took it, so I'm gonna go with something else. I'm gonna go with the Bryce Harper slide. It was interesting to me. I liked it for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it's just he's a showman and he understood the assignment. That's what kids say. Like you go there, you're trying to relate to a fan base that really isn't into baseball necessarily. What do they love? Well, they love soccer. And Bryce, it was premeditated, which is fine in an instance like that. And I think he did a good job. Jake was trying to tell me that wasn't a good soccer slide. And I thought it was. I thought the reaction of the dugout wasn't great. They were kind of like, okay, that's not typical of a guy to do that. But Bryce, I think he's one player in the big leagues that really understands like that you need to do that from time to time. You need to give the crowd what they want, or you need to do something that gets eyeballs on the sport. And this is being talked about everywhere. So I thought we need more moments like that.
It was interesting. Michelle and I were watching together when that happened. And I just raved to her. I said, he is amazing that he has lived up to this billing. Because that happened, I think, 15 years to the day since he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a teenager, talking about the biggest thing to come out of high school in any sport since LeBron James. And he has done it, man. Now, he hasn't won the World Series. Maybe he'll get there. Maybe he won't. But in the ultimate team sport, he has done everything he can. And he has been an amazing ambassador. And I think the way that he has matured and everything about it, and you're right, man. Dude reads the room almost as well as anybody.
Yes.
And yes, I agree with you that his teammates should have played it up better. Like, guys, have some positive mojos.
I guess what are they supposed to do though? I don't really know.
They're all supposed to,
give the fist pump or something,
and then pile on like they do in the corner after a soccer goal. And maybe Harper should take off his shirt. And
JT should have took off his shirt for sure.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, that would have gotten a few of our wives watching if they weren't. You're right, and I'm sorry, I stole yours. Did not realize this happened until I was just checking social media later in the day. This is British announcer Darren Fletcher with the call of the final double play from Sunday's Mets win.
With the pressure on his shoulders, and Castellanos' bat explodes, and they're going to get the runner at home. They're going to get the double play to win the game. What an end! The shattered bat, the runner out at home plate, and the ball fired into the glove of the first baseman Pete Alonso, and the New York Mets somehow withstand the Phillies rally, and they win Game 2 in London 6-5. 17 hits. What drama! What a game! What a finish!
Hell yes.
That's great.
Dude,
really good.
I thought I was listening to the World Series. When I just listened to the call, you didn't even have to have the pictures accompanying it. And that's sometimes when you know you have a great announcer. Is the fact that the dude's British add to it 100%. I think everything sounds better in a British accent when you're doing this, and there's the excitement. And it made me think, if British people listen to our sports, if we were to go over there and call a soccer match or call cricket or something else, and we were super excited, would they be like, hell yes, that Kris Rose could really call sports?
I don't know, dude. I don't think we sound like they're very much about like the eloquent language. I can't even talk. Like they like that aspect of the English language. We've dumbed the English language down a ton. So maybe if it was like in a Southern accent, they'd be like, oh, that's interesting.
Wow.
Like we have so many different accents here. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think British people really like Americans that much.
Well, you know what? We're
right.
We already did Ball and Play where we had, a few dudes from over in England join us. So I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. I loved it. The call was remarkable. It was so crisp. I even loved the way he said, Pete Alonso. I was like, that's so good. I wish I could do that.
He shatters the bat.
Yes.
I like that a lot. I'm going to use that.
Fantastic. Yeah, you should. You should. Hey, big shout out to our friends over at SeatGeek for sponsoring today's edition of Baseball Today. Of course, we're almost in the middle of the season, so SeatGeek is hooking you up with a new special offer. Everybody can use the code TODAY10. You're going to get 10% off any tickets at SeatGeek, whether you're a brand new customer or a returning friend. So baseball season's here. You got artists Like Bad Bunny and Drake, they're on tour. You already know that SeatGeek is the best place to get tickets. So no matter how many times you've already bought tickets using the SeatGeek app before, once again, today 10, it's going to get you 10% off your order. So go grab your phone. Looks like this, maybe. Download the app if you don't already have it. Add the code today 10. What in the world are you waiting for? Do it now because this offer is only available for a limited time. The code is today 10 for 10% off your next order. And enjoy the game, the concert, the festival, or anything else you are attending. All right. Bigger headliner from an Eastern Division matchup that the Nats sweep the Braves or the O's take the first 3 of 4. They're going to wrap around that series on Monday down in Tampa.
I think, the Nats took 3 of 4 from the Braves. So I think that's,
yes.
Yeah. That's bigger than the O's taking 3 or 4 from they're playing again now. So they've taken all 3 of the series against the Rays because I think they're just a better baseball team than the Rays. Now the Nats going in, they got a bunch of young guys throwing against the Braves. We know the Braves offense hasn't been there besides Marcell Ozuna. We know that Spencer Strider's out. We know that Ronald Acuna is out. But the Nats they've gone on stretches of playing like really good baseball. They've shown the ability to compete with some of the best teams in the league. And go see what they did against the Dodgers. Now they're doing it against the Braves. I'm excited for them. I'm curious to see how they handle the trade deadline. Are they going to ship some of these pieces out and look towards next year? Or are they going to say, like, we kind of are right in the thick of this? I mean, if you look at the National League, like every single team is within 1.5 games of the last wild card spot. The Mets are even 3 games from it. And then you have a couple teams that are completely out of it in the Marlins and whoever the heck else it is.
Rockies.
And the Rockies, yeah. So I think they're a fascinating team. Like they're a young team. I think they've done well in some trades. They have the players there. And then to be able to to show that you can win series against these big teams, it's got to tell your team and your front office, like, hey, like if we get into the playoffs, like why couldn't we do it again? Go make some moves. This extra wild card, it's done some bad things to the game. It's made teams be okay with being mediocre, but it's done some good things with the game. Now we have so many teams in contention. I'm just curious to see what the Nats do at the trade deadline, because they could be sellers and say we're going towards next year, or like they're close enough right in the thick of it where they could say let's go add on and see what we could do this year. And I think they might take that route, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. First of all, they improved to 6-2 against the Atlanta Braves, and I'm sure at some point we'll continue to discuss Atlanta. But it's almost like we keep saying, well, they're right up there with the Dodgers and the Phillies, and there are some obvious deficiencies. Like, I don't think this is just a slump. Well, maybe we have to take a deeper dive into them. But I want to focus on the team whose hat I am donning, and that, of course, would be the Nationals. They are in a fascinating area. I think they have to play the role of seller because there's so few definitive sellers in the sport this year. There's so few of them that they could boost the price for certain guys. Maybe in an average year where there aren't as many teams in contention, then it's just like, we'll give you this for that guy. But here you could hold teams ransom. I really think that because there's so few teams that might be competing for a lot of the same dudes, and maybe some of them are on the Nationals right now. We've mentioned this earlier, that they've got James Woods who's killing it down in the minor leagues. Like, you're almost like, can we please just see him up here? Like, he sounds like he's like Bigfoot. He's this fictional character that's down in the minors, but none of us have ever really seen him. We've seen clips of him. And you're like, oh, there he is. There he is. So I want to see him every day in a big league uniform. Dylan Cruz is, continuing to grow down there in the minor league. So when they get everybody up there and they join the CJ Abrams and the Mackenzie Gores of the world and Garcias, and, all of a sudden they'll be back at it. Maybe they'll spend some money on some dudes. I do want to say one thing about the Orioles. I think we forget how good Adley Rutschman is. He had a career-high 6 ribs yesterday. Like, with all the dudes they brought up, we tend to forget just how studly he is.
And I don't think anybody forgets that, Chris.
I don't know. I think sometimes we just are like, yeah, they brought up another guy. They brought up another guy.
I mean, Gunnar Henderson, he could overshadow a lot of people the way he plays baseball. But I feel like Adley's still like the guy there.
He's awesome. He's so good. So good. All right, more insane visual from Sunday. Logan O'Hoppe hitting a walk-off homer for the Halos against the Houston Astros. Trey Cabbage went into the crowd, had the ball in his mitt, and I don't know if it was the dude in the Rangers City Connect who knocked it loose or whatever. It fell over the wall, and O'Hoppe and Pilar, who was on base, were like standing at first base together. So we almost had a major traffic jam, which happens a lot in Southern California, on the bases. The umpires got together and they realized, yes, it was indeed a game-ending homer. But was that as wild as the scene we saw up in Oakland, where Yusei Kikuchi is trying to run out of the dugout, and boom! Runs right into the A's first baseman.
Well, which one are you talking about? Because I want to talk about both of these.
Go
You
first.
go first. You go first.
Go.
No, you go.
Well, what was Kikuchi thinking? Now, first of all, we have to lay this out. And you can talk about it more. It is the only dugout in Major League Baseball where there's not a railing. Okay. Yep. So there's like 3 steps, maybe, right, to get from inside the dugout up to
it's not like a super sunken dugout either.
It's not at all.
Steps. Yeah.
So he explained, Kikuchi said afterward, I kind of panicked. I was trying to get out of the way of the ball.
Think he panicked? Of course he did. Look at that guy.
But it had a lot of people thinking like, God, this would be a great rule to add. You could designate one player who's not playing on that day to go out and cause as much havoc as you want near the dugout.
My question to Kikuchi is, why'd you run towards the field? Why don't you just run into the dugout? Like, that's where you'd get away from the field of play and get out. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Just go back the other way. It's a crazy vantage point when you sit in those dugouts, because you are like right on field level. There is no railing. So you end up like, a lot of guys will sit on like the Gatorade buckets or like the seed, like whatever. Like, there are like things you sit on that you typically don't sit on there, because you're just trying to see. And it's a crazy field, we call it CM is. But that was just hilarious. Like, again, where were you running to? And the fact that he like collided and they didn't even say anything, like the umpires right away should be like, he's out. Like, didn't they have to like get together and ultimately decide this one? Like, come on.
Yeah, well, he was. Davis Schneider was out. It's funny. Kikuchi said afterward, I just wanted to create a little hole and hide inside of it because I was a little embarrassed. He's like, I want to go apologize to him. I'm so sorry.
That's so good, man. So freaking good. And then the Trey Cabbage, the catch to no catch thing was crazy too, because that's a little tiny wall over there in left field. So that's interesting in itself, because you typically you'd go up against a wall and your whole body hits it, but this one, because it's so short, like you kind of get bent over at like your torso, the bottom of your torso, and I don't know if a fan got it out of his glove or not. And then you see haters like, oh, it's definitely interference, that's going to be called back. And then how close was the replay? How close was O'Hoppe to passing Pilar or touching him?
It was close. It was really, really close.
What a wild scene for O'Hoppe. Like, you think first of all it's caught, and then you're like, oh shoot, did I pass my guy at first base? And then at the end of it, you're celebrating and someone rips your jersey off and you get to show your awesome muscles off. So nice little roller coaster of emotions there for him.
Yeah. 2 other things. Yeah. O'Hoppe is jacked. That's Nicky Katz's guy, by the way. So he is. Yeah. He's jacked.
He's my guy now. I took over. He's my friend now.
And Trey Cabbage is a former Angel. He was in their system. So really sucks for him. Poor dude. He had just gotten put in the game after Bregman got.
I mean, what's he supposed to do? That was as good of effort as you can make right there. You're battling the fans.
It was a great effort.
Awkward wall. Yeah.
Great effort. All right, Plouffe, I know you're on the road right now in Minnesota, doing an amazing job covering the Twins, but when you get home, I know that you are going to feed yourself the magic spoon. That's right. They have a great variety pack. Remember earlier I showed you? Well, everybody in the house already downed them. So these boxes are gone. There are 4 flavors to choose from: cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter. Here's the nice thing. You're like, okay, I like cereal, but that is just loaded with stuff that is bad for you. Not true when it comes to Magic Spoon. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein. So you're actually getting some protein out of these things, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs, only 140 calories per serving. It tastes great. They are keto-friendly. They're gluten-free. They're grain-free. They're soy-free. So they're free of all this stuff that does damage to your body. So head on over to magicspoon.com/today. Go grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code TODAY. Check out, save $5 on your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in its product. It is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. I love that. Happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll fully refund your money. No questions asked. And remember, start your day off right with a delicious bowl of high-protein cereal. Magicspoon.com/today. Use that code today. You're going to save $5. Your belly will be feeling good and full and happy. All right. Not happy times in Colorado, particularly for Kris Bryant. Ended up on the injured list again. That happened, I think, late last week. Well, the local media in Denver is really taking it to the guy who signed a 7-year, $182 million deal. Give a listen to this.
It is a good day to have a great day. Hi, everybody. I'm Scotty Gange. I tell you, Kris Bryant is one of the greatest bank robbers of all time. You see, the Rockies' first baseman is headed back on the injury list and will miss at least another week and a half. Now, in 2.5 seasons, he has missed 239 games. That's about 2 out of every 3. And with his guaranteed contract, Bryant has earned $25 million in those games which he has not played. That is stealing. For those wondering, $25 million would be the 6th greatest heist in world history.
Low blow or part of the territory when you're not performing and injured?
I told you before the show, like, I'm going to come on and just go at this guy, but I don't even care. Like, what? It's low-hanging fruit for me to go after this guy. Like, clearly he wants everyone to talk about him. Clearly he wants, to get clicks. This guy reposted. He reposted his own tweet. He retweeted his own tweet. That's when you know, like, you're just in it for what? For yourself? Like, get out of here. Like, understand the sport. You even have me agreeing with Keith Law. Keith Law is one of my mortal enemies in this sport. And me and Keith are on the same side of this one. This guy grew up in Torrey Pines. His parents have done everything for him. He went to Arizona State. Clearly not on any sports scholarship. Everything's been handed to this guy. Get out of here, man. Like, do you think the Rockies were forced to give Kris Bryant money? No, he went and earned that. And yes, he's been injured playing the game. Guaranteed contracts have been a part of this sport forever because we have a CBA that says that's what's supposed to happen. We have a players association that's worked to get that. He has no idea what's going on. You're making a fool of yourself. And now you got me all fired up. Like, Scotty, shut up. Just shut up.
So I understand when fans and maybe even some media types in a particular town get frustrated with a player who's not performing, or in this case, can't perform. He's played in 37.5% of the available games since he signed that deal before the 2022 season. He's frustrated. Bud Black has talked about his frustration. He even went on to say he's our best player when he's right, and we need that. Every team needs our best player. I'm not even sure that's accurate these days. When I speak to young people that want to get into this business, and I have the good fortune of speaking to a lot of college classes, I tell them you are responsible for everything you say. So you better be willing to live with it. Now, there's some people that have made a tremendous amount of money going on TV, going on streaming services, and just saying whatever you want because it does get clicks. I say at the end of the day, you have to feel good when you put your head on the pillow about how you represent yourself, and just as important as that, your family and your company when you say something. I do hope that Scott goes into the Rockies clubhouse, because if you say that and you run and hide,
he's not going to go.
And you're not willing to accept whatever response Rockies players might have when you say words like that, then you're a coward. Don't be a coward. Now, if you go into the Rockies clubhouse the next day and you're willing to wear it, and guys are going to come up to you and say, hey, that was fucked up what you said, and you say, well, hey, I stand by it, then that's part of the deal. If you're willing to do that. But if you run and hide and stay in your 9 News newsroom, that's 100% wrong. Own it. If you really feel that way, walk past Kris Bryant in 2 weeks when he's off the injured list. And if Kris Bryant says something or doesn't say something, then keep saying whatever you want.
I think he'd walk in there and everyone would be like, who is this guy?
Maybe. But they also might know.
You handle this situation so much better than I do. That's why you're my mentor. I need to learn to control my emotions a little bit more. But that stuff like that fires me up, man. Like he's acting like Kris Bryant is getting hurt on purpose and he's stealing money. He didn't steal anything. The Rockies gave him a contract because he earned it.
So what he did was, we call that getting personal. And there's only a handful of times I can tell you I feel like I've made things personal. And usually it's when guys are doing something that's criminal or really character deflating. Not when they're injured, not when they're not playing well. You could be upset with people or call them out. Hey, this person's got to play better, or their lack of availability is killing the team. There's ways to say stuff. But when you get personal, you better be careful. That's all I tell people. It's okay. All right. Before we get out of here, congrats to 2008 World Series winner Jason Werth. He is now a co-champion in another sport.
Let's go! Get on the rail! Get on the rail! Get on the rail!
That's right. Jason Werth is celebrating his horse that was 17-1. Ends up taking the Belmont Stakes. So it's pretty cool. He said it's right up there with winning the World Series as a player, more than 15 years ago. That's pretty damn cool, right?
It is awesome. I gave my award to him on Talking Baseball. I didn't see that angle, though. That was really cool, seeing his emotion during the race. I saw the post-game or the post-race interview, if you will. And yeah, he was fired up. He called horse racing the most underrated sport in the world. And you could tell he has a passion for it. And that's pretty cool, man. All the other Phillies greats were in London doing their thing. He's like, nah, I'm going to the Belmont Stakes and watch my horse win. It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, dude. 17-1. That payout's pretty good on top of it. So if
and now he won a major race like that. It's just money in the bank.
Hell
Not that he needs it, Chris. $136 million in career earnings.
Yeah. He did all right. He signed a pretty good deal with.
He stole from the Phillies and the Nationals.
He does look. If anybody is of my age, he looked a little bit like he could be one of the singers in the band 38 Special. For anybody that's young, go look it up. You'll be like, oh, okay, Rose. I would have laughed.
Could you pull that fit off that he had, the top hat and the?
No. I did go to a Kentucky Derby party out at Santa Anita Raceway this year, and so I did dress up a little bit. No hat for me. Hat for Michelle. She looked gorgeous as always. No hat.
Obviously.
Yeah. All right. This is a fun show. We got our factor question of the week. Get it in by Thursday night so we could use it on Friday's show. For those of you that join us live, we always appreciate it. Tuesday, we're going way early, 10 a.m. Eastern. I got a little bit of a doctor's appointment that I'll talk about tomorrow and why it's so important. You stop that now. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our amazing intern, Tommy, that is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Kris Rose. Thanks so much for watching Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at Factor.